Hey guys, and welcome back. Today we're really going to start talking about the global age and this exploration time period. And throughout history, we see groups of people from all across the world, ancient Greek, Muslim, Arab, and even the Vikings. We see how they explored to find new seas, trading, and migrating over long distances. So now what we're going to do is we're really going to talk about the European sailors of the 1400s and how they really changed exploration in a dramatic new period. And first, let's talk about some of the reasons why. So now let's talk about some direct causes, the 3Gs. The first one is political. This is a direct cause of exploration and the search for new lands and new territory. Politically, people and countries wanted to become the world power, and that was obtained through gaining wealth and land. So the first G is for the glory. Then we have some economic reasons, a search for new trade routes with direct access to Asian and African luxury goods. And people thought that it would help enrich individuals and their nations. Economically, that's the gold. Like the Lil Wayne song, the money is the motive. Religiously, which is the last G, many people wanted to spread Christianity and weaken the Middle Eastern Muslims. If you guys remember, which you should, the Crusades was a European exploration in search to obtain the Holy Land back from Muslims and spread Christianity. So those are the 3Gs, glory, gold, and God. The three motives that reinforce each other. Now, let's take a look at this map. So over here in Europe, we have what is known as the Old World. Now you can't see it. It is written on here, but it should say Old World. This is where many explorers were coming from. Spain, Portugal, different countries in the Old World were in search for new lands. So they found what is called the New World. So they came over from Europe and came over to North America. And as you know, this area is now the United States. And this is a present day map of what that would have looked like. So they crossed this body of water in search for that new world, for those new crops, new gold, the 3Gs. Glory, gold, and God. So now let's talk about European exploration. It took place between the 1400s to the 1600s, and there were many different effects. Europeans came from the Old World in search for new land, new wealth, and to spread their religion. The 3Gs, glory, God, and gold. And when they reached the Americas, they settled there. They expanded their knowledge of world geography and learned more about what else was out there. These European explorers, they were able to find new land and new routes. It was helpful to them. There was growth of trade and mercantilism, which is mercantilism is the economic policy that held a nation prosperous by exporting more goods to foreign nations than it's imported to them. So they also had growth in capitalism. We saw a lot of economic growth for many individuals because of the exploration. However, there were some conflicts. Native Americans, there was a lot of conflicts with Native Americans. Mainly the conflict over land. When the European settlers came over and the European explorers came over to the New World, they kind of claimed this land as their own. where, if you remember from our last class, we saw a map that was covered with different Native American tribes. But that land was genuinely stripped from them. Native Americans were forced to work as slaves on plantations and in gold and silver mines under harsh conditions. They were also really pushed to convert to Christianity. Remember, one of the G's is God, and to spread Christianity. And many of the explorers were trying to, and the new settlers were trying to encourage and convert them to Christianity. Additionally, we have the Columbian Exchange. Now, there were positive and negatives to the Columbian Exchange. The positive was Europeans and natives were able to exchange new animals and crops. But there are a lot of negatives as well. Thousands of Native Americans died because they had no immunity to European germs and diseases when the Europeans came to the Americas. So a great population of Native Americans were dead because of those germs and because of those diseases. Here's another map to help us kind of take a look at some of these routes, especially of the Columbian Exchange. The Columbian Exchange is, or the transfer of goods, involved 3 continents. We have America, Europe, and Africa. They exchanged things like squash, turkey, peanut, avocado, pumpkin, pineapple, tomato, peppers, sweet potatoes. All of these were goods that were being exchanged between these 3 continents. And you can see down here there's good things, but there's also bad things like smallpox, malaria, measles, whooping cough, the flu. As mentioned earlier, Native Americans weren't immune to these European germs and diseases. So many of them died because of it. But we also saw the introduction of many different foods and different types of animals kind of being traded amongst them. As for European colonization, when the New World was discovered, there were 4 big European countries to start and compete for control of North America. And that was Spain, the Dutch, France, and Portugal. Those are the big 4: Spain, Dutch, France, Portugal. Those are the 4 European countries to start to compete for control of North America and the New World. Here's a map that just kind of explains the explorers, whether they were an English explorer, a French explorer, Spanish, or Portuguese. So we see in blue, we have the English explorers and their route. The purple is the French explorers. Red is Spanish. So we see red a lot. We see red going back and forth. And for those of you who don't know, Christopher Columbus was a Spanish explorer. So you can kind of see what impact he made on the exploration age. And then in the faint blue, which we don't see much of, it is right along here. That is the Portuguese explorers. And the black, so the Portuguese. The Portuguese were the first to begin searching for an all-water route to Asia. That was their hope. So Prince Henry led the way in sponsoring exploration for Portugal, a small nation next to Spain. And first, Prince Henry's navigators discovered and claimed certain islands to the west and southwest of Portugal. But by 1415, Portugal had expanded into Muslim North Africa and seizing different ports on the North African coast. Prince Henry saw great promise in Africa, and he wanted to convert Africans, most of whom practice either Islam or some type of tribal religion, to Christianity. He colonized the South America in the area of what is now known as Brazil. Now, who are these dudes? They're explorers sailing for Portugal. So we have Prince Henry, who I just mentioned earlier. He funded exploration down the coast of Africa. Gama, who's also from Portugal, he opened trade with India and placed Portugal in a position to dominate trade with India. And then we have Cabral, who's also from Portugal and claimed present-day Brazil for Portugal. Here is another map just of the European trade routes. In red, you see the trade routes, and in blue, you'll see the routes that European explorers took. Hopefully, by taking a look at this map, you can see how much trading opportunities arose because of exploration, especially in Portugal. Moving forward in our next lesson, we're really going to dive into what impact Christopher Columbus had and really start learning about explorers individually. I hope you all enjoyed the live class, and the recorded lesson, and I'll see you in live class.